Board Game Banter reviews Buccaneer Bones from Watzelpog Games, designed by Chris Gold. So this was a great little game that was the first game I backed and received from Kickstarter. It was a very cheap introductory price, so I figured, what the heck, let's do it. And here I am, I got it, it came out pretty quick. I'm going to walk you through a couple of turns, show you how it plays, give some opinion, and it'll be both a review and a walkthrough. So here I have set up a two-player game. You'll see there are these little tiles that represent the ships on a player mat. All the player mats are the same, just varying color, green and red. Then you also have these treasure tokens, plastic bits, and then the dice. And you can see the one spot is a nice skull there for a little bit of theme. So it comes in a small little box. I'd say this is a filler variety. Plays pretty quick. It has a nice feel to it, but it is kind of light and easy to teach. So it might fit the proper game group, but may not be for everyone. If I had to make a comparison, I'd say this uses the Yahtzee mechanic, where you roll some dice, trying to re-roll and try and make some different matches. The theme is a little pasted on, but it is fun. I enjoy it, and let's walk through a couple of turns, show you how it plays. So the way that the game works, on your turn, you will have 4 dice to roll. You're trying to make different matches, ideally pairs or 3 of a kind. There is no bonus or concept in this game of a straight or a full house per se, but pairs and 3 of a kind. So when you roll a pair, you will get to move 1 spot. If you roll 3 of a kind, you can move an entire 2 spots. And my wife pointed out she didn't know when we played earlier, if you're already in the middle and you roll 3 of a kind of that number, so that's the 4 spot, of course you can continue to move. Right, so the goal is not just to move them to the bottom, but then once they're on the bottom, on this bottom row, you will get the bonus shown below. And then if you roll 3 of a kind while they're on the bottom, that's how you score the nice little treasure tokens. The bonuses represented across the bottom are as follows. So when you have moved all the way to the bottom row, your bonus is you get an additional dice. So if you have both the 1 and the 6 spot, that's 2 additional dice. The 2 and the 5 spot then allow you to modify your roll plus or minus 1. So you can do, if you have both bonuses, you can do plus or minus 1 on one dice, plus or minus 1 on another dice, or plus or minus 2 on the same dice. And then the 3 and the 4 provide an additional reroll. So let me walk you through a couple of turns so you can see how that works. And then we'll also talk about the first mate. That's the other piece and the other option, but we'll get to that in just a minute. So assuming it's Red's turn, Red would roll the 4 dice, and you can re-roll as many as you'd like. You don't have to lock them in, but you only get 1 re-roll. So let's say I'm going for the 6, I pick these up, and I re-roll. I did not get the 6s, but I did get a pair of 2s. So what I get to do there is move 1 spot on the 2 column. That would end my turn, as I only get 1 free re-roll, and I would pass the dice on to the next player. So here we have, we'll call her Jen, in honor of Rado. Rado runs through it. So Jen would roll these 4, and boom, 3 of a kind. No sense really in re-rolling this other one. 4 of a kind don't give you any additional benefit. But 3 of a kind jump me all the way to the bottom. On the next turn, Green will get an additional dice. That really ends Green's turn then, and we jump back to Red. Red continues to roll. There's another 2, so that'll be good. We'll move 2 down. I'll go ahead and re-roll. Let's re-roll both of them, just for sake. So here we have another example. I have 3 of a kind. I'm already in the middle spot. It does me no additional benefit, but I do get to move to the bottom. So I'll get that benefit, that plus or minus, on my next turn. So now I would move back to Green. Green picks up and gets an additional dice. Rolling. 2 and 2. I get 1 free reroll. Nothing. So in this case, I would move the 3 and the 6 down 1 each. Okay, so let me talk about the first mate. First mate is a little pawn that gives you 1 additional option. If you ever roll, let's say that it's back to red's turn, and red were to roll something, assuming I didn't have the bonus, red were to roll, and maybe on their reroll they still did not get any pairs or 3 of a kind. The first mate then becomes an option because nothing was, there were no pairs or 3 of a kind, so nothing was moved on red's turn. Red would take their first mate pawn, I should have got it out of the bag here, and could do a couple of things. You could place your first mate on any one of these bonus spots, and on your next turn you would get that bonus as if you were on the bottom row, just for that turn. It's essentially helping you out because you didn't score anything, you didn't move anything on your turn. Right, so it's helpful that way. The other thing you can do with your first mate, again, you can only activate it if you roll something that does not allow you to move. The other thing you can do is take your first mate and place it on a treasure token of an opponent in attempts to steal it. If then on your next turn you roll 3 of a kind of any number, instead of moving your ship, you can steal their treasure token, again with your first mate. The third thing you can do with your first mate is if someone is attempting to steal your treasure token and you roll basically a useless result, that allows you to take your first mate to defend your treasure token. Right, so there's a couple of options, a couple of ways to mitigate bad rolls, to give you some benefits, but let me just show you a couple of additional turns, see how it plays through, and then I'll offer some final thoughts. So if it were red's turn again, red would roll just 4 dice, and in this case I can use my bonus at any point. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll first to see what I might be able to do. So I'll roll that. Again, I don't have anything. I'm not compelled necessarily to use my bonus, so I could activate my first mate. But let's say in this case I'm going to modify that 1 into a 6 and move my 6 spot down. So that's the benefit here. Modify plus or minus can go up or down. Back to green's turn. Green now has 5 dice still from the bonus. There's my 3 of a kind. It's a little overkill. In fact, because I don't need 3 of a kind of my 3, 3's already in a good spot. A pair will be just as good as 3 of a kind. I'm going to attempt to re-roll. Hoping to get maybe that 1 to get my 3 of a kind. So it's my additional re-roll. Bupkis. Nothing. So I'll move my 3 down. That ends my turn. So back to red. Red continues to roll. Again, nothing. I'm going to wait on that bonus and see what happens. So let's go ahead and re-roll these 3. 3, 3, 6, 6. So that lets me move the 6 down, the 3 down. Back to green's turn. You can see how this goes. It's kind of back and forth. Not a lot of decisions necessarily. There we have another 3 of a kind that really is the same as a pair. None of those are really any more beneficial than the other, so I'm going to roll again, 4, 4. Now I do get 1 free additional reroll. So you always get 1, but with this bonus I get 1 additional. So I'm going to shoot for hopefully 3 of a kind on the 4 and nada. So I get to move my 6 down 1 and my 4 down 1 as well. The game continues on. Let's say red here still fighting for, oh, they do get a bonus. I forgot the extra dice. Roll that in there. So 6, 6, 3, 3, and I do get a bonus. Let's go ahead and stick with that. I'll modify the 1 into a 6. I'll move the 3's down. So when I take a treasure for having 3 of a kind, taking my treasure token, my ship immediately returns to the top row, the top island. So I lose the benefit of having it on the bottom row, that bonus, but I do get a treasure, and ultimately the game will be decided by who has the most treasures. So that's pretty much it for the game. It continues. Typically, first player to 3 treasure tokens is the winner. Again, this was Buccaneer Bones. It was on Kickstarter. Should be available now. I think it's a fun little light game. Not a ton of decisions. It was an easy game. I got my wife to play, which was a miracle. I've been able to introduce it to a few people because it has such a low barrier of entry. The Yahtzee dice rolling mechanic is very easy to understand. The decisions are pretty straightforward. This isn't exactly a brain burner, but as far as light intro filler type games go, this one's not bad. Buccaneer Bones, again, this is BoardGameBanter. Check us out on BoardGameBanter.com. We do a podcast. We're doing some video reviews now, and enjoy this little one. Thanks.